Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. Members of advocacy group Bring Back Our Girls on Tuesday continued their march to Aso Villa in Abuja. This time the group was challenged by another group. The rival group, identified as With Buhari We Stand, urged the Bring Back Our Girls group to leave President Buhari to work for Nigerians. The group, who were stopped by police several times last month, say they will march to the presidential villa every 72 hours until their demands are met by the president. One of such demands is the rescue of the Chibok girls. In April 2014, Boko Haram abducted 276 girls from a school in Chibok, Borno State. Until date, the girls are yet to be found. In a video released last month, the group said it would free the girls in exchange for their members in government custody. Ahmed Salkida, a journalist declared wanted by the Nigerian army, has been arrested by Nigeria's secret police. Salkida was reportedly arrested by the DSS at the Abuja International Airport when he arrived the country from his base. Salkida and two others, Ahmed Bolori and Aisha Wakil, were declared wanted by the Nigerian army last month for their links to Boko Haram. The other two persons, Bolori and Wakil, had reported to the army headquarters in Maiduguri and Abuja respectively. They were both interrogated and subsequently released by the Nigerian army. Salkida says his connection to the sect lies with his loyalty to Nigeria and work as a journalist. Nigerians displaced from their homes in Konduga local government area of Borno State have returned home after 3 years of residing in refugee camps in Maiduguri. They were forced to leave their homes due to the series of attacks by the Boko Haram sect. Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima had officially allowed them to leave their respective camps. Just last week, the state government announced its intention to relocate internally displaced persons from Konduga, Marfa and Dikwa councils back to their homes following the return of peace to the areas. Maiduguri has in the past 3 years played host to IDPs housed in 21 camps within and outside the state capital. Some displaced persons also live within the host communities. Boko Haram has displaced more than 2.2 million Nigerians since it began its rebellion in 2009. Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiku, and Group Managing Director of NNPC, Mairkanti Baru, has confirmed that the Nigerian government has no plans to increase the price of petrol in the country. The forum of former Group Managing Directors of the NNPC over the weekend called for the price increase by calling for removal of price cap in the pricing template. They say the recent petrol price cap of 145 naira per litre is not feasible with the policy of the federal government. Now, speaking after a meeting with President Muhammad Buhari, the two government officials told newsmen that there were currently no plans to increase the price in the country. Earlier this year, the pump price of petrol in Nigeria rose to about 145 naira per litre from 86 naira per litre after President Muhammad Buhari removes fuel subsidy. The removal was greeted with mixed feelings from Nigerians. The Nigerian army has confirmed the death of 2 soldiers along the waterfront in Brass local government area of Bayelsa State, South Nigeria. Sani Usman, spokesperson for the Nigerian army, said the mishap occurred on Monday morning, but rescue efforts were underway to determine the casualties. The soldiers belong to the Operation Crocodile Smile, a military scheme initiated to stop pipeline attacks in the Niger Delta region. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukuburatai, has insisted that the military operation should not be mistaken for an invasion of the Niger Delta region by the Nigerian army. President Muhammad Buhari has arrived at Edo State for the All Progressives Congress mega rally to round up its campaign for the Edo State governorship election. While in Benin City, the president is expected to visit the Crown Prince of Benin Kingdom before attending the mega rally. The rally is set to hold at the Samuel Ogbamodia Stadium in Benin City, the Edo State capital. A Nigerian group says they are against the decision of state governments to take over lands belonging to citizens for state projects. At a press conference, the group said it was against the government's actions, insisting they must provide an alternative for citizens who have been displaced in the process.
We are not against the project, the superhighway project. We are not against the deep sea port project. We are not against the garment factory project. We are not against any other project of the cross-river state government. What we are saying that things must be done in accordance with the law and the regulations of this country. We are saying the project ab initio is not carried out within the context of modern civilized systems of governance, that our laws are being violated, that the laws, the rights of the people, indigenous communities who own this land are being violated. So we are representing not only our interest, but the interest of the vast majority of the communal landowners who cannot speak for themselves. If government want to acquire land, you must first of all consult with the people. There must be what they call prior, free and informed consent. This has not been done. We need government to discuss with us. We need government to engage with us. We need to agree with government. We want a good road in Cross River State. Our roads are very bad. We want good roads. But we are not going to build road to the expense of people. We are not going to build road by displacing people. If you take out land from 180 communities and from over 1 million people, where do you expect them to stay? Even if you are going to give them 3 trillion naira per person, where are they going to live with that money? So it's a very big question. We from all indication, government have not properly engaged with the people.
The United Nations is painting a gloomy picture of Nigeria's economy, calling it the poorest and most unequal among countries of the world. The global body said with 64% of her population living below poverty line, this isn't the best of times for the country. Official data from the country's Bureau of Statistics showed that its GDP contracted by 2.06% in the second quarter, sending Africa's biggest economy into recession after a decline in the first quarter. The UN says poverty and hunger have remained high in rural areas, remote communities, and among females. On unemployment, the report notes that youth unemployment, which is about 42% in 2016, has continued to create helplessness and despair, resulting in an upsurge in crime and terrorism. The ruling All Progressives Congress has pleaded with Nigerians to be patient with the current administration led by President Muhammadu Buhari. The party, in a statement, said the country cannot fulfill its potential under Buhari without the support and cooperation of Nigerians. It says it understands that Nigerians are currently going through hard times, but insists that this thing will soon improve for the better. The country is currently going through a recession after its GDP contracted by 2.06% in the second quarter and a decline in the first quarter. Financial analyst Eze Onyekbere says Africa must find a way to be self-dependent rather than relying on world powers to save its economy. Onyekbere was reacting to a statement by Chinese President Xi Jinping at the opening ceremony of the G20 summit. Jinping had called for G20 members to forge closer ties with Africa. He also pledged that China would continue to support the continent's industrialization drive. But Onyekbere says the continent must not wait for the G20 to act, but find ways to develop itself.
I want to make it clear that nobody will develop Africa. Nobody will develop Nigeria except Nigerians or Africans. Development is a people's work in progress. It is not done by outsiders, because the interest of the outsider, whether it's Chinese or American, is about his own national interests, national economic interests, national security interests, not necessarily your interests. So these ideas are not something we should jump at when they say that the Chinese want to facilitate development in Africa. Rather, the Chinese are saying indirectly that they want to facilitate more jobs in their countries. They want to facilitate more outlay for their goods and services that are manufacturing in China. They want to facilitate the ascendancy of the economy and it becoming one of the most dominant economies in the world. So I don't want to believe anybody is a Father Christmas who is simply doing good. And for the Africans and Nigerians particularly to understand that what we need to build is a Nigerian economy for Nigerians in Nigeria and in the diaspora. And the people who are going to build it are Nigerians who will have the key national interests at heart. So, like I said, on the surface, it sounds good, but deep down, nobody is going to develop Nigeria. A little bit patronizing, if you may ask me, but at the same time, that's the language of international economic politics. So like I'm saying, we need to think critically and clearly of any offer that we get and interrogate whether it will help us in the long term to build sustainability. Sustainability in terms of building local capacities, building local jobs, and building local content, and our ability to retain a good measure of the resources we have, particularly when we are spending on capital projects within our country, our companies, our personnel, using public procurement to generate jobs, to generate economic growth, rather than having an outward bound system where the retention capacity of economies is so low that for every contract, big contract you award, it ends up in either in Europe, America, or Asia. So that's what we should be looking at in the short, medium to the long run.
Police in Lagos State say they have arrested Tanko Tango Abdulateef, a 22-year-old, for allegedly killing his employer. Officials have identified the victim as Mabel Mba Okafor. She was killed in her home in Aja, Lagos State on August 17, 2016. The suspect was arrested in Bali, Taraba State. Lagos State Police Public Relations Officer Dolakwa Badmus confirmed his arrest. He said the suspect would be charged to court after conclusion of investigations. Nigeria's domestic carrier First Nation Airlines says to resume operations on September 15, 2016. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, had last Thursday said the airline suspended activities to complete an engine replacement program for one of its aircrafts. The suspension of its operations came 24 hours after another domestic carrier, Aero Contractors Airlines, announced an indefinite suspension of its scheduled flight services, which raised fears that airlines were departing Nigeria due to the recession. Now, in a fresh statement, First Nation has confirmed that it suspended the operations to carry out routine maintenance on its fleet in line with safety standards and regulations. The statement, signed by its head of corporate affairs, Rashid Yusuf, also denied reports that the company was on the verge of folding up. Time for a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at business and sports stories. Don't go away.
That was a very good business.
Yeah.
The furniture you brought was very perfect.
That's how we roll.
Because let me do you receipts.
Yeah. How much was it again?
1 million naira.
Okay, write 2.5.
Mbano. The deal was for 1 million naira now.
Okay, write 3 million. I'll give you 500.
Oh no, I don't do business like that now. Yeah.
In that case, give me back my check. Let me go and look for someone that understand business.
Take.
Your loss.
But it is only for incorruptible customers. What are you talking?
Now get out.
What kind of this?
You will just die.
No,
You will die.
That is the door. Now get out from here.
Rubbish.
Look, my people, make una only add money for original invoice price. That's not corruption. Say no, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. The Naira strengthened at the official market, recovering from last week's record low of 425 Naira per litre at the parallel market. The interbank market also experienced a strengthening of the local currency from 3.15 on Friday to 3.10 to the dollar. Following the official confirmation of Nigeria's recession by the National Bureau of Statistics, the Naira dipped to 4.25 to the dollar at the parallel market. Analysts had initially predicted the weakness of the Naira following Nigeria's plunge into recession. OPEC Secretary General Mohammed Bakindo and Iran's oil minister met on Tuesday to discuss global oil market conditions and crude oil prices. Other countries who met were also members of OPEC will meet on the sidelines of the International Energy Forum, which groups producers and consumers in Algeria on September 26 till 28. They are expected to seek to revive the global deal to stabilize oil output levels. Non-OPEC member Russia, the world's top oil producer, is also expected to attend the meeting. Oil prices fell on Tuesday after a volatile session triggered by hopes for a production freeze from major producers. Brent crude was down to $47.33 per barrel, while U.S. crude was up $45.02 per barrel for October deliveries. Russia and Saudi Arabia on Monday announced a joint initiative that would freeze or reduce output from the world's two largest oil producers. However, the two countries made only vague promises of greater cooperation. The African Union plans to send a delegation to help resolve a crisis in Gabon where two opposing candidates claim to have won a presidential election last month. This is according to the spokesperson for the Pan-African body. This follows the deadliest riots that ensued in the country last week after the announcement of the election results. The riots claimed at least 6 lives and left scores of others wounded and over 1,000 arrested. Ali Bongo, whose family has ruled Gabon for half a century, dismissed all allegations of vote fixing. However, opposition leader Jinping has called for a general strike to protest against his re-election. Bongo, who is 57, won re-election by a narrow margin with 49.80% of votes, followed by his main rival Jinping with 48.23% of votes. Meanwhile, French Prime Minister Manuel Valls has also called for a recount of the presidential election results for Gabon. An attack on the offices of an international charity in the center of the Afghan capital of Kabul has left at least 1 civilian dead. Gunfire erupted when 4 armed men stormed the building of the aid group CARE following a car bomb explosion. All the attackers were killed in the process. Meanwhile, no group has claimed responsibility for carrying out the attack, which is the 5th to hit the city in 24 hours. On Monday, a series of blasts claimed by the group hit a busy part of the city close to the Defense Ministry building. Officials now say 35 people were killed, including an army general and 4 senior officers. Some 103 others were wounded in the incident. Nigeria's head coach General says players of the Super Eagles currently lack confidence following the team's failure to qualify for the 2017 African Cup of Nations. The 63-year-old German explained that one of his earliest impressions of the Super Eagles team was lack of confidence on the team's part. He, however, insisted that he was working to build the team's confidence ahead of the World Cup qualifiers, which begin in October this year. The Eagles were paired with Zambia, Cameroon and Algeria in Group B of the tournament. The team will start its qualification campaign with a game away to Zambia on October 3, 2016 and finish away to Algeria on November 7, 2017. Only the top team will qualify from the group for the World Cup. Andy Murray was at his brilliant best as he demolished Grigor Dimitrov to reach the quarterfinals of the US Open, while Serena Williams reached another milestone in her trophy-laden career. Murray is aiming to end his 2016 with more silverware following a sensational year, which has seen him land Wimbledon and Olympic titles for a second time, as well as reaching the Australian and French Open finals. While top seed Serena Williams broke several tournament records against 52nd rated Yaroslava Shedova on her way to victory. El Salvador players say they were approached by a businessman seeking to fix Tuesday's World Cup qualifier against Canada. The squad held a press conference on Monday in which an audio recording was played to prove their claim. In the recording, a man identified as a Salvadorian businessman offers the team money to lose their match. While El Salvador cannot progress to the next phase of the qualifying game, Canada can overhaul Honduras in Group A and go through at their expense, but only on goal difference with a 5-goal deficit to overhaul. The country had 14 players banned for life in 2013 following an investigation into a match-fixing scandal. Well, that's all we have on news now. We thank you very much for watching. I am Thelma Okoro.